This is like one of the first ones I'm doing on it. So I found out like the other day that you can flip the orientation to where it still looks like the 2.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, that'll make things a lot easier for malls where I'm unsure about how they are.
Yeah, there you go.
So, after you.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today, we are taking a look at the first and so far only mall I have covered in the state of Wyoming. Welcome to the Frontier Mall in Cheyenne, Wyoming, a CBL mall with some sweet 90s aesthetics that's still doing pretty well. Join me, as well as Sophia and Draven from Optopolis, as we take a walk through this mall. History would begin in the late 1970s as plans for a regional shopping mall in the Cheyenne region would start circling around, and with CBL and Associates behind the development, construction would begin. Frontier Mall would officially open its doors on March 18, 1981, with Sears and Fashion Bar as anchors. Sears actually opened shortly before the rest of the mall on October 8, 1980, relocating from their original store in downtown Cheyenne. Frontier Mall was successful from the start, and would greet shoppers with its wonderful halls full of many planters and fountains, as well as a clock tower, and would feature tenants such as Chick-fil-A, Kinney Shoes, Bookland, GNC, Pet City, Maurice's, The Great Hot Dog Experience, and several others with more to come. JCPenney would join as the mall's second major anchor in 1982, also relocating from downtown, and Joslin's would join as the third anchor in 1983. The 1990s would see more changes happening at Frontier Mall. By the early 90s, the space that was previously home to Fashion Bar would now be home to a Gartz Sports. The mall would receive a major renovation in 1995, giving us the look we have today, although at the time of the renovation, the mall would feature a short-lived carousel near the new Gartz Sports. 1996 would see Dillards join as the fourth major anchor store at Frontier Mall. However, in 1998, Joslin's would get acquired by Dillards. With that, Dillards would choose to operate a dual anchor setup at Frontier Mall. The former Joslin's building would be home to the men's store, whilst the newer Dillards building would be home to the women's store. The 2000s would be pretty quiet for Frontier Mall, but would still be successful. Some notable changes and additions would include Gart Sports getting converted to a Sports Authority in 2004 upon acquisition, and Olive Garden and Chipotle joining in as outparcels in 2007. However, it wasn't until the 2010s when we would see more major changes come to Frontier Mall. September 2011 would see Joann Fabrics join Frontier Mall, replacing a section of storefronts near the Sears. And 2015 would see original tenant Carmike Cinemas get converted to an AMC. However, disaster would strike when in 2016, Sports Authority filed for bankruptcy and closed all locations including the Frontier Mall store. Thankfully, this would be addressed as a Planet Fitness would move into the space. However, this wouldn't be the only sign of trouble Frontier Mall would have to face. In November 2017, it was announced that Sears would be closing their Frontier Mall location along with several other stores across the country, and the store would close in January 2018. Although the loss of Sears would bring some concerns to people, the space wouldn't sit vacant for too long. In 2019, Jax Outdoor Gear announced that they would be opening their first Wyoming store in the former Sears at Frontier Mall. The store would open in, I believe, the later half of 2019. Also in 2019, Dillards decided against operating 2 full-line stores at Frontier Mall, and they would downgrade the Joslin's building into a clearance center while operating their full-line store in the building they built in the 90s. However, as the mall reopened from the pandemic, Dillards didn't even want to operate the clearance center, and they just wanted to go down to 1 store at Frontier Mall. They would completely abandon the Joslin's building in November 2020, and the space would unfortunately sit vacant for a few years. And sadly, in March of 2021, AMC Theaters announced that they would be closing their Frontier Mall location. And whilst the theater still sits empty today, the former Joslin's building would get filled in by Appliance Factory and Mattress Kingdom. As of 2024, Frontier Mall is still owned by CBL, and is doing really well for the Cheyenne region. It still holds relatively high occupancy and has many name brand stores along with smaller businesses that keep this mall afloat. The future seems bright for Frontier Mall.
Cheyenne, Wyoming, a town I was actually not aware of had a mall. Although I had been to Cheyenne in the past many times due to its close proximity to Denver, where I grew up, this mall pleasantly surprised me. For one, it was definitely thriving. This mall was incredibly busy with large crowds. However, this is definitely due to the fact that it is the only mall in the Cheyenne area, and one of the only few malls in Wyoming itself. This mall had an interesting light blue, gray, and white color scheme. Although it was not my favorite mall design-wise, likely because we went to Uptown Scottsbluff right after, it had a lot of elements I enjoyed, such as the interesting color scheme and even a touch of neon near the entrance.
Now, Frontier Mall aesthetically is actually really nice. I love those blue accents around the skylights, and even though the fountains and the carousel and the clock tower were all removed, I do still think this is a really pleasant 90s mall, and I really did enjoy walking around here. Seeing some of those neon tubes on was a really pleasant surprise, and even though not all of them were working, I was grateful to see any bit of neon in this mall. Now, even though the limited information I just spoke about was all I could really find on Frontier Mall, someone who I know knows a lot about this mall and could tell you more is Draven from Optopolis, who joined me during this episode. This has been his mall for years, and he knows a lot about this place and has seen all of the changes here. So let's hear what he has to say.
Hey, Andrew. Whether you grew up in Cheyenne during the 80s, 90s, or even 2000s, there's a really decent chance you have some fine memories of visiting the Cheyenne Frontier Mall. Those of you visiting the mall in the 80s will likely recall the beautiful water feature next to Fashion Bar or the clock tower nearby Joslin's. If you visited this mall throughout the 90s, you'll surely remember the huge carousel near Gart Sports, or if you're like me, you'll likely recollect your visits to Timeout Arcade, Taco John's, Country Buffet, or even that mini neon golf place that was located next door to JCPenney. You may even recall that one Christmas season when Toys R Us Express actually had a location at the mall. And if you're a bit younger than I, you'll likely recall visiting the first Interstate Bank play area between Dillards and Sports Authority, or the bungee jumping facility at the west end of the mall. Although these days, the overall aesthetic of the Frontier Mall is certainly nothing like it once was in the 80s or 90s, I do appreciate how some aspects of the mall seem to tease back to those earlier years, whether it's the neon lights on the ceiling throughout, or the skylights that make it possible to explore the mall midday when Delrange Boulevard's power has all gone out. Since the time this video was captured, several new businesses have either set up shop or are setting up shop in the mall, including Michoacan a Pedir de Boca, Camp Kitchen, and several others which, after they have all opened, will bring the mall back up to approximately 75% occupancy as of early to mid 2024.
And with that, I would like to thank Optopolis for joining me and helping me out with this episode. And I would like to thank you all for watching my video tour of the Frontier Mall in Cheyenne, Wyoming. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to leave a like as it greatly helps support the channel. And whilst you're at it, be sure to click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so more videos like this can come to more viewers like you. I have a lot more mall content and other retail content coming to the channel very soon with a lot more stuff you're not going to want to miss. So be sure to click that subscribe button to stick along for the ride. I also have an Instagram linked in the description with sneak peeks of future videos if you're interested. Anyways, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, stay awesome, and have a blessed day. I will see you all in my next video.